Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all are back and settled for our next session, which is going to be a panel discussion by Kolkata chapter. In this discussion, we'll be exploring DevSecOps, how it is transforming organizations and challenges faced in that journey. We have Jaita Day as a moderator for this discussion, and as panelists, we have Joydipta Bhattacharjee, Kaustubh Ghosh Daftikar, and Ipshita Sinha. Before we begin with the session, let me thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider, helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. You can find out more details at www.innovationroots.com. We are also happy to have Jile as one of the sponsors for this community. Jile is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Jile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, LeSS, and more. Can you please mute if you are not muted, because I'm getting some disturbance in the background. Thank you. You can try out Jile for free for up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at jile.io, or reach out to us for any kind of inquiries or setting up an exclusive product demo. Check out the Jile page on Agile Network India's website for more information, and the link is available in the chat box. And with that, I would like to call upon our panelist on the webcam and the microphone. Yeah, so with this, we can begin with the introduction. Jaita, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, thank you very much, Nupur. I'm Joyita Dey. I have around 20 years of industry experience, and I have managed verticals and sub-verticals during my time. And presently, I'm working as a consultant in Agile as well as for PMI. Thank you.
Then we have Joydipta. Joydipta, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Nupur. Thanks, Agile Network and everyone. Very good afternoon. I'm Joydipta. I work in TCS, and I'm part of the practice which looks after the DevOps and automation stack. I have almost 17 years of experience in industry, and I'm looking forward to take a positive discussion in this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Joydipta. Then we have Kaustubh here. Kaustubh, we would like to know about yourself as well.
Hi, Nupur. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kaustubh Dastidar, and I'm currently working with Citrix R&D, managing the program management, the technical program management from the product security side. And I have over a decade of experience in managing agile delivery as well as project and program management for different product as well as security releases. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
And now we have Ipshita with us. Ipshita, please let us know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hope you're having a good session here. So this is Ipshita Sinha, and I have overall experience of 13 years in this IT industries, mostly in working for Java applications, microservices, and with the latest technologies. I have worked with clouds and various cloud service providers, and lately I've been working on DevOps for the last 3 years. So I'm looking forward eagerly for this session, and hope it's a very fruitful for everybody who is attending this.
Thank you, Ipshita. Now let's begin with the discussion. Over to you, Jaita.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, let me begin. We are going to have a very animated discussion today. So let me begin first of all by asking, okay, how really do you think the DevOps market is growing, and at what speed, and what are the drivers that are pushing the market? Joydipta, would you like to take that?
So Thanks, Joyita. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm trying to give some view on this perspective. So yes, indeed, with technology disruptions and lot of innovations and even in the pandemic era as well, the DevOps market is actually growing really at a high speed. And we are seeing almost a CAGR of 30.76%. Okay, so I'm just going clearly on the statistics, which is going to so nearly about 30% annual rise in the market growth from 2020 till 2027. As you can see, the digital changes, both internal or external, in the enterprises are in full swing now. So it's almost 30 to percent and plus spike we are predicting.
Okay, thank you. Now,
4 or 5 years.
yeah, Ipshita, what are the pain points you have been implementing? Your experiences mostly hands-on. So can you elaborate on what are the pain points you have faced while implementing DevOps?
Yeah, sure, Jayita. So yes, for when we implement DevOps, okay, it's not a particular framework that we are implementing. It's a process. It's a change that we are introducing in our work process. Okay, so based on that, on the projects that I've worked, a few things I have noted, which I'll highlight in this session. So there are mainly 3 points. Okay, first is since DevSecOps is a very new term. Okay, what happens since there's a standard in the project that we have to implement DevSecOps, so we have to implement it. So, but before implementing, we have to know whether it's really required. Okay, so like for any kind of migration or any kind of change which is introduced in the project, first we have to ask whether it is really required, and if it is required, to what extent it is required, to what frequency it is required, before jumping to what tools we require and how frequently we. So we have to first question ourselves why we require it and how frequently we require it, because everything adds to the complexity of each steps in the pipeline. So that is very important to know whether you really require the security, because in certain cases when we are using legacy systems, so those are very difficult to adjust in the pipelines with all these new open source tools. So in that case, we are going to only waste or spend extra amount of time doing an R&D and then coming to a negative conclusion. So we have to first be very clear on the requirement, first item. Second is, for example, okay, fine, in this DevSecOps is very apt for our project and we need to implement it. That's decided. Second steps comes is training the people who are going to implement it, because the moment we implement DevSecOps in the pipeline, okay, it's not only a part of the security team, it's a part of every members who are involved in the steps, be it a developer, be it a testing team member, whoever. So they should be trained via virtual trainings, or knowledge transfer from the security testing team as to why they are doing it. I mean, what is the requirement, and so that they, while the development team, for example, while they are doing the their development, they imbibe those changes in their code, they imbibe those changes in the process, instead of doing it at the last as a separate task. Okay, so this is training the entire team on security aspects is very important, and which is a challenge. Okay, because we know the projects run on very stringent timelines. And third is resistance to change. Anything which is required, and why do we require automation? It's as simple as that. So when we require automation, the basic answer is we want to save time, and we want to make less errors. So same question is asked to us when we propose that we want to implement, we have to implement DevSecOps because of these reasons. So they told, okay, we can take care at the end of the project, or we can take care of it as a separate silo. So why do it integrate it in the pipeline? So, convincing them, that this is worth the money spent. Because if you encounter any security reason issues later, it will be of a greater magnitude. So it will just manifold itself. So I think these three items are the biggest challenges when you go to a project and ask them, tell them that we have to implement DevSecOps. These are the three things that, I have always faced.
Yes, that's all. Yes,
And
so
also, I think to add to Ipshita's point, since it's a cultural change, so that change management or that strike has to come from top down, okay, from the leadership level, okay. So often these disruptions people are actually not taking care of, so they are not giving enough importance to these disruptions around, right? So that leadership drive, okay, and that vigor also has to be introduced to make people feel and aware and take those changes.
absolutely. Ipshita, I think, explained it very nicely, the 3 points. I think she went sequentially. And thank you for the add-on, Joydipta. Now, coming to Kaustav, what are the challenges you face when implementing DevSecOps? What are the challenges from the security aspect? Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, Jayita. So from the product security side, the challenges are specifically to that we have not collected security requirements at a very early phase of the development life cycle. The second challenge is we have not chosen the right and appropriate tool catering to my organization or specific to my DevOps needs. So these two I see is not only in specific category of organization, but in most of the organization who are targeting on frequent releases and who are targeting on multiple deployments in cloud. So appropriate tools, and I see the adoption of DevOps culture within the security, within the organization, within the development organization. I see as a challenge in major organizations. Yeah.
Okay, so you see two challenges. One is the culture, and the other is with the implementation.
Yeah, adopting the appropriate tools suitable for my DevOps environment. So every company or every development life cycle may have a requirement of different tools depending on the frequency of releases, depending on the type of releases they are making. Maybe they are doing a frequent release in cloud, or maybe they have a longer release cycle. So it depends on which tool is most suitable from my security landscape of my organization. So that is very important.
In this context, can you tell us what are the key product security metrics to measure engineering effectiveness?
Sure. So what I believe is we need to have a process in place to measure the security engagement index, as well as we need to also measure what is the lead time for a development team to engage the product security team. I mean, how early we can engage the security team to have a discussion before a product development even starts. By that I mean from the requirement phase. And the third important thing is to measure the vulnerabilities which are being reported. So obviously, if we have security built into the practice, the reported vulnerability count will go down. So these three I think are the primary drivers which we can implement in tracking the DevOps.
Ipshita, you want to add any other metrics to this, or Joydipta, do you feel there is any other metrics to be added?
Yeah, so from the overall DevOps practice, I think the major focus should be on the retrospection, okay, after the process is actually implemented, because it's a iterative manner, okay. In the iterative manner only we can reach the success, and like that can give us lot of insights on the say deployment frequency or change volume, or how much time it is taken to recover from the failures, okay, or the issues, okay. So these four I think are the major overall KPIs one should keep in mind while actually iteratively rolling out the DevOps or DevSecOps practices, okay. Especially for security and vulnerability perspective, you see in during the COVID pandemic time, there are a lot of cyber security attacks are happening, right? It's almost 80% increase has happened. There are DDoS attacks, there are ransomware attacks, okay. Recently we heard about a very vital I mean, very massive ransomware attack. Okay, so those aspects has to be actually taken into care, and from there, vulnerability assessment should be a key KPI. Okay, to measure against a benchmark, and it should be actually resilient as well. So that resiliency is not only the measurement, but that self-healing or that resiliency also has to be imbibed into this. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Vulnerability and resiliency. These are two key points. Ipshita, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. So I guess pretty much it is covered by Kaustubh and Jyotika. Just few things that I have encountered like in my projects that I've worked on is there are few three items that we highlight mainly is we term it as MTTT and MTTTR, and it's MTTC. So I'll tell you what it is. Is MTTT is mean time to detect. Okay, so that is a measurement of how long is a threat going unnoticed. So what is the time taken for a threat to be detected? And MTTR is, if I'm not very wrong, that is supposed to gauge the response time on what is the time taken for the team to respond to a particular threat. Okay, and MTTC is mean time to contain. So that is, of course, comes in the last is how long does it take to close the thread. So these three we used to follow in one of the projects to measure the security matrices of the security threats and issues that we encountered.
Yes, absolutely. This is actually a very vital point that you have brought out. Of okay, now moving. Okay, now Costa, can you explain to us, like in the context of doing a release, how would you define acceptance criteria in a DevSecOps environment?
Sure, Jeta. So specifically for any security release, we need to have a robust, acceptance criteria added as a part of definition of done for any, maintenance or a feature release that I'm doing. And it also depends on whether I'm doing an on-prem or a cloud release. And like specifically speaking from a technical standpoint, if I'm releasing a particular component which is internet facing, I need to have certain criteria being added as a part of my release to be successful. And as a part of release checklist, I need to have a robust checklist covering confidentiality, integrity, availability, covered being if I'm doing a cloud release as a part of the release checklist. Also, I need to have a process in place. For example, I'm making a frequent release in a fast moving organization, and I need to have a policy to review the risk associated to that particular release, and that can go through an exceptional approval from a CTO or a VP of products, maybe for any kind of open vulnerability which may not be fixed for a particular release, which maybe the organization is looking forward to fix it in the upcoming release. So those are certain parameters that should be in place. Specifically, if I'm making frequent releases, and I should have a streamlined policy of assessing the risk associated to that particular release.
Absolutely, this is actually a very valid point that you have brought up. Now, now, what role does automation play? Okay, in this DevOps approach.
So, Joyita, automation is involved from a very early stage, from the point when the developer is pushing the code in a repo. Maybe we can use webhooks, or we can use plugin or something to check whether I'm not pushing the confidential user credentials or any information as a part of code in any repos. And we also should have a static analysis and a dynamic analysis tool embedded as a part of our pipeline to have seamless feedback being sent to the developer for any known vulnerabilities. So we should have a specific tool for a white box or a black box testing that can be done throughout the release pipeline, and it can be fixed at the same time with the feedback received to our developers.
Yes,
so actually I would like to add here one point. So it is not only simple automation, but now the time is saying that you go for intelligent automation to be integrated in a DevSecOps pipeline. So certain companies, they are bringing it. I mean, we can elaborate maybe in the subsequent discussion points as well. But AWS, Azure, Google, everyone is actually bringing those very intelligently in the actual process, which Kaustav mentioned, and then they are actually helping to compare and benchmark. Okay, and then sometimes self-fill that process as well. Interestingly, AWS also has released recently, their service stack that is called digital.ai. Okay, so yeah, so that is the intelligent automation in DevOps space. Okay, so yeah, sort of like
Yes,
adding to both of them.
which need to have that intelligent factor built into it. But Ipshita, now can you tell me, in the context of this COVID situation with everyone working from multiple locations, how has that implemented your compliance and security checks?
So, frankly, with this rise of this, pandemic situation, and this entire IT, our industry is completely based out of home right now. So, one of the basic things that comes into mind is we are all now exposed to our, our home Wi-Fi, all these kinds of not so secured internet connectivities. So, in this situation, even in layman language, I would say that we are more prone and we are more exposed to threats. And I think right now is the time. Right now is the time to suitable for implementing the security as a part of our automation processes, and as a part of our projects mostly, because even in projects where security was, forget about financial projects, financial transactions, those projects definitely they require a security aspect. But even for other projects, the basic basic data sharing, that is also like, overall we are obviously working on VPN servers and everything. But when we create a product or create a service, and that is exposed over the internet, so that we have to very much take care that it is secured, and it is not penetratable by other threats in the network. So I think this is very important right now in this situation.
Yes, actually, I think it impacts everyone also. Like Joydipta, you want to add anything there to what, how you have adapted?
Yeah, I think one major issue in the COVID pandemic situation is the synergy between the people and process. Okay, so like because lack of connectivity, people are sick, they are overtired. So in that aspect, I would like to add one point is like, there should be a very stringent measure to create a synergy between different angles. So the security check and these aspects touch upon compliances and different teams, right? The infrastructure, risk assessment, all. So there has to be a proper risk measurement and a synergy between all the teams, so that as Kaustav also started, so that right tools and controls are actually executed or
The tools are
with right people. Yeah.
Okay. Now, can you explain, Joydipta, how machine learning can aid the next gen DevOps and security exercises?
Yeah, so there are 2 points to it. Okay, so whether machine learning is for DevOps or whether DevOps is for machine learning. Okay, so people will be quite like people from data science, data analyst, or those projects or those teams. They are already using DevOps in their machine learning pipelines and all. So in that perspective, I'll not focus, because there are a lot of focused efforts as well. But I think this, as I was mentioning, this automation and intelligent automation and machine learning really can be some disruption, okay, and some betterment if and I think some of the companies, like as I was mentioning earlier, like AWS, then Google, they are already bringing some sections to it, like where you are bringing quality to the DevOps or DevSecOps processes which you are actually deploying. So they are actually injecting lot of analysis in the background. Okay, they are including self healing controls. So I could find 2-3 major points in this, like this AI can actually help very effectively in early bug detection. Okay, and sometimes the auto suggestions. Okay, so in lot of SaaS tools, actually now auto suggestions is very we see very commonly, like with Oracle integration products or Dell or other MuleSoft products. Okay, the and other services as well. And now, as you know, the containerization is in focus. So like always, as Ipshita also mentioned, it is very important that we push in code which are actually issueless, okay, and less vulnerable, right? So in that angle, 3 aspects. One is like AI can prove effective bug detector, early bug detector. It can help very well in like security testing, and then it can actually give lot of actionable insights at the end of the execution of a process. Okay, and from there we can actually predict the outcome in the next subsequent run, and that can actually like improve the efficiency of the DevOps process as a whole. Okay, and in some cases definitely we can deploy the bots. Okay, where in COVID pandemic time, say a patching activity is happening on the containers, and you have a quick release pipeline, say for a payment bank. Okay, so in that case, maybe say for Paytm, so you may not able to quickly deploy resources supporting that day at night, or you are actually going down with resources. So intelligent agents can be deployed which can handle some of this. Okay, and they can self-heal also if there is some glitches or vulnerability is happening. Okay, so these are the aspects I think where there are already work, there are tools already available. We have to actually focus and explore and try to fit in the process.
Okay, absolutely. It's a very elaborate answer. I think you explained it very well. Now to come to the, so can you elaborate what are the major best practices or recipes for successful implementation of a DevOps program?
Yeah, so I would suggest there are 4 things that we should focus on, starting with building a DevOps culture within the organization. By that I mean building a good communication as well as a workflow between the development and the security champions and the security team, which was initially not there because security was always considered as a kind of a blocker during releases. So building that is one starting point, implementing a DevSecOps culture. Second thing is to enable teams and to build a security practice in their development lifecycle. By that I mean, training the development team, running a project, running a program like Ninja or a security champion program, that is basically enabling them with secure development best practices. For example, in checking on input validation, or checking on if all the necessary controls for the APIs that you're using are correctly in place, and or like if you're using a SOAP API, are you using SAML authentication, or basically if you're using REST, are you using auth authentication? Are you choosing the right appropriate authentication method, multi-factor authentication, and all other best practices to be involved within their development lifecycle? Third thing is to choose appropriate tools for which is suitable for your DevOps culture, and suitable for your release, which is also very important. And choosing the right automation tool and retrofitting it into your release pipeline will add success to your release process. And the fourth important thing, which is very important, is to measure every step. that is choose appropriate metrics at every step of DevSecOps implementation. So these 4, I think, will add value for any organization who are looking to transition for with a legacy method, from a legacy method to a DevSecOps lifecycle. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Ipshita, you want to add your experience on what would be the best practices to implement in a DevOps scenario, DevSecOps scenario?
Yes, sure. So it's pretty much, I think, same everywhere in every project that we want to implement. So as Kaustav highlighted, so I think one of the key best practice would be, for example, in an agile project, we have these sprints. Okay, so before we start, or before we during the onboarding processes of any project, okay, I think that is the time when we should ideally sit and literally design the entire DevSecOps pipeline, and we have to think even during the requirement, when we are gathering the requirement by bits and bits or as a whole, like what first is to what threats can our application be exposed to. So based on that, second, we are going to choose the tools. So we should know what we are going to face, and based on that, what tools we are going to use. So if we know these two things, I think the implementation of DevSecOps or security in the project will be apt to the requirement. And that is these two key factors are very important at the beginning of the project, the onboarding of the project, to decide. I think these, yeah.
Yes, so Joydipta, your experience on handling a DevSecOps in your project?
I think now the need which we are seeing, that a proper logging, maintaining proper data sheets, the retrospection at the end, and managing the speed. Okay, that is very important. Okay, and listen down the issues. Okay, another thing which I'm seeing, sometimes it's very evident for us, because especially for microservices, containerization, or in digital footprint, these areas, the infrastructure, okay, the availability of infrastructure, and how well you are bringing the infrastructure as a code, or these aspects, okay, the infrastructure immutability, these aspects, how well you are bringing from your tool sets, okay, so that you can port from one cloud stack to another cloud stack, making it as a vendor neutrality, okay, bringing vendor neutrality. That is sometimes actually, I think, becoming a key aspect in addressing the DevSecOps processes. Okay, so making it successful in the end of the day.
Okay, so I think to sum up, like what we have said is, like we need to, we touched upon what would be the, what are the drivers, and then we talked about the metrics, and then we talked about the security aspects, and then finally to the best practices to be implemented. So that has been quite
retrospection.
Yes, and retrospection.
At each step, yeah.
Okay, now if we have any questions, we can take questions from the audience.
So I think the first question is from Amit. He questions that in parallel to DevSecOps, we have something called SRE. How are they complementary to each other?
Okay. Who wants to answer that? You want to answer that? Kaustav, you want to answer?
Yeah, I can take it. I can take it. Let me see the question. Amit. Okay. Hi, Amit. So site reliability engineering is something which is pretty old, which has been into organization for a very long time, even before DevOps came in. If I'm not wrong, this is something which Google started in the site reliability engineering. So the purpose of SRE and DevSecOps is pretty much same. It's basically both sides of the same coin. The problems which these two these two methodologies are addressing is is basically to reduce the operational silos between two teams, and also to reduce the pain points which any development teams will have in terms of releases. So when DevSecOps tells you what, so SREs is basically will tell you how do you handle those kind of organizational change. So but the root cause of the problems that are there in any industry between the development and security and addressing the releases, maintaining confidentiality, integrity, and availability for any particular application component is being addressed by both of them. But DevSecOps is pretty much a new concept which has been widely accepted into different agile frameworks. Maybe for large organizations like Scalable Agile and all, they have been widely accepted. But SREs was there much before DevSecOps even.
So and to add to Kaustubh's point, SRE is probably, I can say, it's a subset. Okay, coming to the actual engineering of the fault detection, be it in any place. Okay, but DevSecOps, rather, it's more holistic because it is taking care of people, process, and culture and everything. Okay, SRE maybe was focused more on deploying certain resources who will be taking care of certain actions, but now DevSecOps has given a more mature stage to it, right, Kaustubh, where we are actually bringing and imbibing it into the actual business processes. And now with Agile coming into all the aspects of software lifecycle, right? I mean, right from the development, right from design, say to the IT support, ITSM, in every aspect, like SRE could be would have been still be staying as a subset of it. Okay, but DevSecOps is more complete, more consistent, and it's more elaborate. Okay, so I think that is my take on
So hopefully your question has been answered. Unless
No problem. I'll read it. So I think we have two questions from Amar Pushti. So I think one is already answered, like mentioned during the session, is what are the challenges of implementing DevSecOps? So I think that is pretty much covered, but I'll still just go over it briefly. And the second question is what are the DevSecOps tools? Okay.
Okay.
So
yeah, go.
Okay, so I'll just go by the tools first, okay, because that is not covered in this entire session. Is see from the security perspective, there are three very important areas or type of testing that we want to cover in DevSecOps. First is the SAST, or the static application security testing. Okay, that is mostly related to static code scanning, if in plain simple language, if we want to tell, and for various languages. So we have been doing this even before DevOps. So SonarQube, we have been using SonarQube a lot, and then Coverity. And what I personally use in our project right now is the HCL App Scanner. So the advantage with HCL App Scanner is for HCL App Scan, you can both cover static as well as dynamics, which I will cover a bit later. So this Coverity, SonarQube, and HCL App Scan is one of the three of the top, I think, tools that we often use for static testing. Now coming over to dynamic application security testing. Okay, so what is that? That is automated security test for recording real world threats. Okay, so covering that, tools are like, as I mentioned, HCL App Scan. Then there's a Veracoda. There's GitLab. Now GitLab is a holistic a service provider for any kind of DevOps integration, which is very handy. And then we have Veracode also for dynamic testing. So these are the four tools I have encountered in my experience. And third is of lately we are going into Docker and containerization. So from that perspective, also from the containerization perspective, there is a set of vulnerability tests that we conduct. And there are few tools. One out of them is a script which is out of Docker itself. So that's Docker Bench. So it's a script basically to audit the security vulnerabilities of the containers. Then we have Notary, and a very less, it's not much used, that's Dagda. So Dagda is also used for containerization security testing. So these are the three areas where we use tools for, we do testing for security purposes. So I think that answers your questions, Amar. And
I'll add
Jaita,
one more point here. I'll
sure.
add one more point here. So from the cloud testing part also, from the cloud automation part also, there are certain services like AWS brings in Trusted Advisor and all, which actually checks the compliances. So other than the security tools, it is very important that you have a regular monitoring of your compliances every day, every hour, so that you are doing a proactive screening of anything is not going well. Okay, and you send early alerts, prioritize that. So I think Kostov has also something to add from his core expertise.
Yeah, so one thing I would like to add for people, who are new to the security terminologies on the, static code analysis and dynamic analysis. So SAST is something like, it's a static analysis security testing tool, which is nothing but a white box testing, which usually tested a particular application or a component inside out, using a developer approach. Whereas this finds pretty much issues which are less expensive to fix, compared to DAST, which are usually dynamic analysis tools. And this usually uses the hacker approach, basically tests any application outside in, and that we can summarize as a black box testing. And these are usually issues which are the most expensive issues that are needed to fix within a development cycle.
Okay,
Yeah,
and now
so
Ikshita, you want to, I think that answers pretty much about all the tools. Ikshita, you want to talk about the best practices in case somebody joined late and missed it. So that would be the concluding part of our discussion.
Yes, so best practices as we covered is first is identifying the types of threats or the vulnerabilities that our product or our service is going to face. So we cannot predict 100% what kind of threat that we might encounter, but we know which are all the places that our service or application is exposed externally for the threats to come. So identification. Second is tools or testing, or testing tools specifically, which will adhere to those kind of threats and issues. Okay, identifying those at a very, and third is imbibe this entire DevSecOps practice from a very early point in the projects, in order to avoid rework and a massive rework. When I tell it's rework, it's massive reworks, because for example, as Kaustav told that during dynamic testing they use hacker methodology. So in dynamic testing, they mainly target the various open source libraries that we use. And at the end of the project, if you come to know that a library that you're using is very much vulnerable and you cannot use it, so your entire development goes for a toss. So identifying, choosing even the open source libraries that you're using, knowing what you're using, is very important. So I think these are the 3 or 4 best practices I think we should keep in mind while implementing DevSecOps.
Okay, that was, I think we have 3 more minutes. So unless is there any other question? Anybody else has any other question? We could address that, or otherwise we will conclude our session.
Joyita, I would like to conclude with one line. Since the organizations are moving with a zero trust architecture model, so it is very important to imbibe the security as a practice within every development life cycle. And DevSecOps is only a cultural shift and building a process around it. So that will come if we have that culture built within the team and across the teams as well. But it is very important to have a security culture built across the any releases that we are making, starting from the architecture side to releasing a final product. Yeah.
It's a
Thank you.
change mindset that you are referring to, right? A total shift in the mindset.
Yes.
I think there is a question. I think there is a last question. Is security only about tools? The sake. So, Kaustubh, you may like to, reply. DevSecOps sake, that part.
Sure. Yeah. So security is not about tool. Security is, building a practice around the development life cycle. I mean, building a secure development life cycle as a practice. But obviously, if we need to build a practice, we need to have appropriate tools to reduce the kind of repetitive work and reduce any kind of gaps that we may have built across any kind of practice. So yeah, it's a good amalgam between tools and processes.
Yes, like you mentioned in the beginning, like just a few minutes back, that it's about a mind shift. So we need to have the awareness, and it's at each step, especially now in this COVID situation, at each step we have to take security into account. It's not only about tools actually, because most of the tools are actually like open source and they do some fixed kind of work. But we need to actually have a total change in culture, as Kaustubh mentioned. Okay.
So one point I would like to close by. Okay, so those who are aspiring DevOps engineer here, okay, those who are DevOps architect, those who are enterprise architects and the leadership, it's a good time ahead for all of us. Okay, because see, with the traction of digital footprint, okay, digital banking, digital India and everywhere. Okay, so I think security, DevSecOps, automation, okay, robotic process automation, AI, all these will be actually going and moving forward together as the major drivers, okay, and especially the innovation mindset in the businesses, okay, because it is very competitive now. Okay, people have to roll out their products and features incrementally in short time, okay, in a very disruptive network, okay, with lot of vulnerabilities, lot of there are a lot of conscious persons who are always ready to actually disturb the network and introduce like intrusions, okay. So all this has to be also avoided in the fast pace. So in that perspective, it is very good. And like my point was to join and contribute here to create more interest in myself, okay, and to everyone, the agile and DevOps mindset. So
yes,
thanks for
so
the opportunity, Agile Network. Okay, so that we
thank
can
you very
really speak our mind. And thank you.
bright future. So, yes, hopefully we will be able to ride the wave. So over to you, Nupur.
Thank you, Jaita. Thank you for facilitating this discussion so wonderfully. And thank you, Joydipta, Ipshita, and Kaustubh for sharing some valuable insights around DevSecOps with all of us. It's been wonderful.